All right. Welcome to our book of the month for November, which we are discussing in December. Holidays are right around the corner. So our book this month was Building a Story Brand by Donald Miller, which is actually upstairs. There you go. Thanks, Paul. Building a Story Brand by Donald Miller. An excellent read from my perspective, but we're going to get the team's perspective on that as well. I really like this book. I really like the book. It's all about having a concrete go-to-market message around kind of the buying journey. And anyways, I'm not going to ruin it. We'll let the team talk about it specifically. So we're going to have a discussion today around the book. We're going to talk about our thoughts, what our takeaways were, what we liked and disliked about it, and the things that we're going to do that we can apply to our business going forward. And if you're watching, what you might want to apply to your business going forward. All right. So what is this book about? What is this book about? Who wants to jump right in?
The book is about the message that we want to go across in every single platform or every say we do, and who's involved in a brand.
Okay, good. So what is the main thesis? Yeah, go ahead.
It's like how to guide a prospect in along the buying journey, but in a way that kind of plays to what they want to be seeing, positioning them as the hero, and you being more so the guide than the hero, your brand. So
so often a brand will see themselves as the hero, and this book is essentially saying, no, don't do that. Make sure that your client is positioned as the hero and you are acting as the guide for that hero. And where is this philosophy or approach come from, based on what Donald Miller says?
He says it's from movies, because movies are really good at keeping us engaged for 2 hours. But I like the whole idea, not only are we saying the right things, but you're keeping them engaged. So he really says while you put someone as the hero, the reason you're doing the whole thing is because you want them to engage with your brand and stay, keep reading or keep them interested in you as long as possible.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So it's all centered. So I guess he puts a more of a framework around it, right? Which he calls the Storybrand Framework, or SB7. I don't know how I guess the SB is Storybrand. The 7 is the 7 stages. So who can kind of walk us through what those 7 steps are? Does anyone have that offhand? I think it's all kind of based. It's all a big sentence, right? So what is that sentence?
So I think there are 7 parts, right? And you guys can correct me if I'm wrong. There's a character, who has problem or some sort of challenge that they're faced with. Yeah. And then you as the guide, who proposes a plan and sets steps out for calling them to action, what to do next, and then demonstrating that you. By doing these things, that they are going to succeed and that they will be better off.
Yeah, exactly. No, this is great. So I'll just share my screen here, because that's what I do. And we can kind of look at it together. Right. So as Erica mentioned, right, there's a character that has a problem and meets a guide who gives them a plan and calls them to action that ends in success, that helps them avoid failure. And essentially what Donald Miller is suggesting, and which I probably agree with, is that the vast majority of successful movies follow this formula, right? He actually says, I'm going to ruin movies for you anytime you watch a movie. I watched a couple of movies this weekend and they were successfully ruined, actually. So a lot of story loops get opened, and then, right? So you can kind of see that now in certain movies. But I think really what he's saying, and obviously we're a marketing agency, so we can apply this to ourselves for our brand or brands, but we can also apply it for our clients' brands, right? So whether you're a business owner watching this and you want to apply this to yourself, or an agency like us, and you can apply it to your client's business or your own, there's a lot of ways that you can leverage this. Okay, so what are some of the key takeaways from within that structure? Because there were a lot of gems. I think Matthias used the word a lot of gems in your report. What are some of those gems?
So I think the key thing above everything else, like not even going into details, is that framework itself tells a story. It's like a little mini story. And I think that helps you remember it better too. And even like the chapter itself, like the chapter titles, were these frameworks, and it literally just tells a story in that sense. And then you can use that and apply it to like real life situations. I thought that was very clever.
Mm-hmm. No, that's absolutely it's absolutely true. And I think, excuse me, I like what you said in terms of, even though you're in a technical role, you were still able, like everyone loves a good story, right? So can you speak to that a little bit more in terms of kind of?
I mean, yeah, humans love stories. Like humans have been telling stories like since forever. And it's like, it's captivating, it's motivating. It teaches us lessons, teaches us like how to be better people. So it's the perspective of applying this to marketing material is really, really interesting, because psychologically it compels us to listen more, to be engaged, rather than just being like told what features you provide. Mm-hmm. But putting the customer in the hero role, and then taking them through the journey of what success means for them if you choose our services, can be psychologically very motivating to continue with that path.
Absolutely.
I think consumers make decisions based off of emotions, right? And stories really bring out emotions out of the end customer or client, which is why it's so powerful.
It's very true.
And I think it brings and reinforces a message from our last book as well. And it's the importance of clarity. And it's making sure that your target audience and your user understands how you're helping them thrive or survive. And I think that's key. And I love that part, how and actually he reinforces it throughout the book. But I like how it reinforces also one of our main points from our last book, and the importance of being clear, not using all these big words to make it sound like we're the best, but actually making it very easy for the user to understand what we do, how they can acquire that service or product, and how to follow up on us and make questions to us and start a conversation.
Yeah, no, I really like that point in terms of clarity. I think you also touched on thrive or survive. That was a big part of it as well, in terms of, especially early on in the book, in terms of tapping into like our primitive needs, if you will, and how even in the modern world, any product or service can still be kind of tied back into that primitive need if positioned the right way through the right ad copy or campaign. So that was a very important point that you mentioned there. Other thoughts? Other takeaways?
I like the focus on how you can be creative when thinking of a villain. How I like that they use like the dust bunnies or like the germs, and they turn them into these big bad guys. And it's like, yeah, this is a villain. And you wouldn't really think about just like a germ as a villain, but then you watch those commercials and there's tons of them like that. And I think it's really interesting how you can really like step out of the box, be creative, and find this villain in that hero story to help them conquer it.
Yeah, the villain comes up quite a lot, and it's good. And you can see it in like, especially in consumer like mass consumer goods and that kind of that world, like the whole Mr. Clean, and you've seen a lot of that, where there's like the enemy, which is like personified by some kind of animated figure. So I think as a group, we have an opportunity to look at what the villain is for our heroes in terms of our clients and our clients' clients as well. Matthias?
If I can add something, I really like how he mentions how you can put your services or product as like the main weapon to defeat this villain. And I really like how he in a quote, he says, never assume people understand how your brand can change their lives. You have to tell them, basically. And one of the ways of doing that is using fear, which I thought was pretty interesting, because obviously fear is a very psychological, I don't want to say hack, but it does trigger emotions, right? And he does mention that it's like adding salt to your food, right? It can, without it, it's bland, but with too much is off-putting, right? So finding that balance of showing your potential client, you know, what their lives may look like if they don't purchase your product, because a lot of people could benefit from just seeing that, right? Like a lot of people don't realize how much they need something and how much they could improve their lives. And I love how they tied that into like obviously Luke Skywalker, Frodo Baggins. Like I really enjoyed the amount of movie connections. It really drove the point home for me. And it's true, like most movies, like a lot of these characters have visions into the future of the worst possible outcome, and that really keeps you entertained and it keeps you engaged. And yeah, that was pretty cool.
You're right, because yeah, the fear, especially the fear point, you know, I think they call it like fear appeal or something that term gets used. But I think what I really like about that is, because I think when we talk about speaking about pain points, the natural tendency is that we're going to go too extreme. And this book is essentially saying find that balance between bringing up the fear, but also like positioning your brand as like the hero and to be able to help them, right? And I think that's important too, because if we talk too much about fear and kind of go too far off the edge, then all of a sudden we associate ourselves with that fear, right? So it is really about finding that balance as well.
I like how he also clarified that not having just one clear enemy as well. It's important, and that fear can also lead to no action at all because it overwhelms the user. So I think Matthias explained that very well, how it can be not only, but it can be off-putting, and also it can cause no action, which is something we do not want.
Analysis paralysis, I think, right? That's what they call it.
Yeah. I think fear is definitely one of the star takeaways for me from this book. But apart from that, I think where he talks about the type of plans, the process plan, pre-purchase and post-purchase, that is amazing. Because like I was literally, when I was reading this book, I was thinking about my different clients, as Riaz mentioned, like where can we go ahead and apply that, especially post-purchase. Like many a times, even we do that when we are buying like shoes or shirt, we are like almost about to buy, but then like we leave the cart. We are like, you know what, never mind, I'll just come back to it later. So post-purchase plan, like, and I'm not sure if I'm giving a right example, but post-purchase plan, any kind of agreement plan gives that peace of mind to the customer. For example, when we know that we have an option to return our products from Amazon.ca, we are like, okay, you know what, we can go ahead and buy like peacefully, because we know that we can go ahead and return it. The same way where he explained that it is important for us to, you know, kind of any agreement plan or guarantee or things like that, which gives that additional assurance to the customer to go ahead and make that purchase or give us their information or send us that lead. That was really good.
I like that, because you're right, it helps to clarify understanding. It helps in terms of creating alignment of understanding. So yeah, there's a process plan, which is kind of the pre-sale, and then there's the agreement plan, which is, to your point, the commitment part of it, right? So I think we do a good job actually in our business of this. I think in terms of like, here are the next steps. You're going to do this, and this is going to happen, that's going to happen, and we have like an onboarding email for that, right? And then and then after the sale, okay, this is what's going to happen, the pre-kickoff and internal sync, right? Those types of things. So I think sometimes it's good. Sometimes we or our clients or anyone watching this might have those things in place, but they're not communicating that to their hero, right? And their hero needs to be guided. That's what makes us the guide, right? So just because we have a process in place doesn't mean we should keep it to ourselves. It means that we should guide our hero essentially through that. Good. Other thoughts?
Yeah.
I like the initial, oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
Okay. I like the initial section where he talks about processing power.
Yeah.
Like you don't want people to think a lot. Like a lot of times you want to be clever and come up with something and let the user connect the dots. And but like he made a good point where like people are looking for a solution and they don't want to think a lot. Like it's okay if we like spell something out for them. Like in the end, like it's important that we let them know what they're getting on the other side. Like that was really important because a lot of times we don't talk a lot about the product or the service just to like not come across as we're talking about ourselves, but it does make like it does help like to tell them what they are going to get out of it, like just spelling it out, because we are also like promoting things online, and we know when people are like scrolling through Facebook and Instagram, they don't want to spend a lot of time thinking and figuring things out. Like they scroll really fast and their attention spans are really low. So I really like that section. Like he even gave a good reason as to why people don't want to process. Like they want to spend minimal energy, get the most result. So that was very like insightful.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Reinforcing that, I like the example he gave about him trying to find an agency that could help him design his presentation, and how aligned with his thought of people will buy what they understand the fastest. He is very clear. Me as a consumer, I decided to go with the agency that maybe had not the most beautiful examples, but got back to me and was very clear about the process of how I could reach them, how they would help me solve my problem. So I went with them, even though there was another option with beautiful examples that were amazing, but they lost me because there was no clarity on that. Yeah. And in the process for him, it was not as fast because it was also time pressing, I think.
Yeah, and I think that's what that's something that we do well actually as a group, is we make it easy to understand what we do, even in a difficult to understand industry. We can always do a better job of it, certainly, but you know, having visuals, maps, and funnels and things that it's like, oh, I can relate to that. Doing more of that and making it easy to do business with us, or for our clients and their customers to do business with each other, is a key there as well. Good. Other thoughts? Erica, you said you were going to say something.
Yeah. One thing that like kind of stood out to me is that your story should not just include like your external clients, but also like internally for your business as well. So like both internal and external stakeholders, because these are the people that will like speak about your brand and speak to their network of people, which ultimately brings your brand or business success. So I thought that was like a really good takeaway as well. So like tying back to like clarity is like making sure that your message is not just clear to your clients, but also clear to like your business's employees.
And it's funny you say that, because I don't know if maybe it's conscious or not, but I think, and I don't want to speak for Michael, but for myself, like, you know, anytime I jump on a call with anyone, I'm thinking, okay, how can they be the hero, and how can I be the guide, right? So that's what I'm usually thinking. I don't need to be the hero, right? If I jump on a call with Sonali, or you know, hey, how can I help? How can I guide you and help you so that you can be the best at what you do, right? So that's actually a really important point. And I think when we're working with each other, I see a lot of that on the team. It's actually really healthy for as a team. We're always looking at ways that we can help each other and elevate each other. So.
Yeah, and helping each other eliminate roadblocks in order to do your work. Yeah.
Good. Other thoughts?
Just to add to Erica's point about like sort of that internal, bringing in the internal team into that framework is the idea of the one-liner, and like, you know, come up with the one-liner and then make sure that all your employees, all your coworkers have memorized it and rehearsed it, and that you can say it easily. If somebody like at a party says, "Oh, what do you do?"
Yeah.
Or you know, what does CDIO do?
Yeah. That's actually something that would be a good breakout at some point for us to do together. I remember a few years ago I was at a charity casino night with it was just me and I had one employee at that time, and I overheard a conversation. He says, "What do you do?" And he says, "Oh, I work with Riaz." That was not a really good one-liner, but again, that's on me, right? I feel like in retrospect, I probably should have developed something that made more sense. So
Actually true, but yeah, no.
yeah, absolutely. Other thoughts, Paul, Leslie, Kane?
Well, I was just thinking like about the transformation, like how people want to transform and they do want you to be a part of it. They want your solutions. You just have to make them know that.
Yeah, no, I love that. And I saw that in your report too. It is really about the transformation, right? Like I it's funny because I talk about the before and after grid quite a lot. You guys have seen that, but I don't know if you noticed, but there was a page with the before and after grid on it, and it was like referenced from. So it's kind of funny how it all ties it together. But Leslie, to your point, it is really about that transformation from the before state to the after state, and now we have the framework to get that there. So we're filling all the gaps there. Paul,
had you guys read this book before? Because there was also a virtual water cooler in there. I was like, we have that. So and there's also the digital marketer course. So
yeah, so I've read every book that we're reading. I've read.
Okay.
But the virtual water cooler, I don't remember from that. So I'm going to take credit for that one. But the Ryan Dice thing, for sure, I've seen that in there before. So, Paul?
Well, with every one of these books, I've always taken the sales lens to it. And it really helped me in the way that I have to be the guide, right? It's really reinforced the fact that our customers or our prospects are the heroes, and I'm their guide. I'm their Yoda. I really took the Star Wars angle to it all, that I'm Yoda and I'm helping Luke, with the tools and getting them in place so that he can defeat the Empire. So it's really about guiding people down that path so that they can overcome the obstacles and the problems that they're trying to solve in life or in business or whatever it is. Yeah. So really, that's kind of my takeaway, is that I just have to be there to help people. And I have to simplify my messaging. It goes right back to the first book we read, that overcomplicating our solutions with a bunch of like jargon is not the way to go to help people. So I really just have to be there to listen and help put the tools in place, which is the team, right? And the solutions that we offer. So really, that's my big takeaway from this book.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you and I were quite enamored with this book. I think we're nerding out on how much we like this book.
Yeah, it's the best marketing book I've read in about the last 2 years.
Yeah. There's actually, I mean, we're not affiliated with Donald Miller, but there's a lot of good resources on their website as well, and courses and stuff. So we'll look into that stuff as well, because I know that a lot of the team had a really good experience with this book. So yeah, it's really good. And I guess another thing, which it's funny, we've done a lot of things have happened in the last 5 years, and I think one thing that's on the website now that we don't really talk about at all, because it was something that was there initially. When you go to the website, the first thing it says is demand results now, right? So when we first started, I put demand results now, bought the domain name demand results now, and created that little article, right? And in retrospect, I think the reason it works is because it's just very easy to understand, right? Demand results from your marketing right now, right? So I'm not saying we have to like dig that up, but I think as we're going forward with our committees and go-to-market strategy and stuff, we may want to look about what is that one-liner, to Roy's point, what is that clear, concise message that we're delivering to our audience, so that we can make it easy for them to be the hero instead of being confused. So no, really appreciate that, Paul. Michael, any thoughts at all? Kane, any thoughts?
Yeah. I was quite interested in the whole kind of villain, the external, internal, and philosophical problem. So the section in the book that spoke about that specifically, I looked at that and certainly thought it would be pretty cool to take every single client that we work with and analyze each one within that context as well, just to get the ball rolling there, to get some creative thinking, because I think in that regard, and in the sense that for each of the pillars, like the 7 steps within the SB7 framework, we have an opportunity, I think, to break these things out and kind of find creative opportunities and everything else, strategic opportunities, I think, to really sharpen our approach for our clients.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. Excuse me. When I was reading it, I'd be like, take my phone out and I would start like typing, okay, this is the character, this is the so it was I hear what you're saying, and there's definitely an opportunity for us to do this for ourselves and for our clients too. And our clients will appreciate that. Absolutely, right? It'll just make everything more succinct and give us a map to make them to make their lives easier. Kane?
Yeah, I guess one takeaway would be like really when you put the whole villain thing into like kind of what we do, it's kind of more clear than looking at it from just the data perspective, or it's a company's perspective, and like putting it in something you can relate to was very helpful.
Yeah. Good. Okay, good. So these are all of our takeaways that we got. Lots of good takeaways here. I guess the second part that we're going to focus on is how can we apply the takeaways to our organization and our clients, right? So who wants to jump in first? Matthias.
I got one.
May the force be with you.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. One of the things that really stood out to me, and it is kind of a takeaway, but it's also one of the things that I'm going to apply moving forward, is using like the 5 most common customer wants. I did know about like the hierarchy of needs and all that stuff that we learned when we were younger.
What are the 5 again? Sorry, go through the 5.
Yeah. So the 5 are basically they want to conserve money, make money, save time, increase status, and connect with others. So I feel like when you simplify it like that and you have those 5 most common needs, you can really dive deep into like your ideal customer and really find out one thing, like their biggest want in relation to like the situation that they're in, and just go at that. It's basically his like little formula to finding the most compelling story for your ideal customer, basically. And I really like that. And even with like the copywriting, little modules that we're doing, it speaks on like benefits over features, right? Like I benefits drive emotion and they connect with people, whereas features, they kind of just tell like the granular kind of stuff. And moving forward, I just want to, make sure that we're taking those features and turning them into benefits, and that's really what we're communicating. I find that that's where the most of the value is.
That's absolutely true. Yeah, benefits move people to take action. Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. Other things that we're going to apply.
I think just being aware of the hero versus guide mentality, because you can, like at least for my end, like when I'm writing something, I can kind of look at it again and be like, am I really thinking of it as like a hero? Am I thinking of it as a guide? And then just like having that voice in the back of your head, making sure that you're in the right mentality, and then it makes sense. And then it makes sense for the audience that's going to see it.
Right. Love that.
One thing I really liked is they had like this brand story model. I really want to use that more because it just puts everything on one page. And that's easy to use. And I know like the book prompted you to do it after every lesson. They were like, okay, go to this link now. And then like go to, like, it was kind of repetitive, but like still it was good. Cause like at the end you knew like, okay, this is like the main, like, this is what a guide is. And he gave you like 2 examples. And then now you could like ideate what like the client's guide is, or what like the whoever you're doing the document for, like who their guide is going to be. So I really like that. That's definitely something I want to have like handy for like all of our clients, and even like our brand or whatever we're promoting. It just really like made things a lot easier for me to understand.
You have an opportunity like from the strategy team to be starting to do those for each client, because that's going to help inform the performance campaigns. That's going to help inform the production campaigns, and that's going to really drive the results for sure. Sorry, Vasvi.
Yeah, and also like the copy. So then the needs thing like really helped me understand like what people are looking for in the copy. Like when you say something, like you need to speak to one of those things. And like Matthias said, like there's 5 points. I don't have my notes with me, but like there were like multiple points under every section. So a guide can be this or that. A problem can be internal, external, psychological. So they had like a lot of good subdivisions.
Yeah.
But like figuring out like, is this product or service solving an internal problem? What kind of need is like, what kind of want is it speaking to? And like, who really is the guide, or what kind of guide can we like offer in this scenario? Like it's just like a very nice document, like the whole StoryBrand document.
Yeah, I agree, and I like that. It makes it clear that it's good to identify and make distinct the external and the internal problem, but to recognize that the internal problem is what compels someone to buy or take action, right? And that was the big difference there. Sonali?
Yeah, I would say that there are few things like which are, of course, there are a lot of great things in the book, but like I just think like there are few things which can be fixed, or maybe they can be solved immediately. For example, like we have our existing clients, we write new ads for them, we refresh their ad copies, we refresh their creatives. What if we go ahead and, like, for example, going back to the fear appeal, or I'll go back to the type of plans, process plan and agreement plan. Like just looking back, these are like little things we can apply immediately. Just going back when we're writing new ads, or when we think that, oh, their landing page needs a revision, we go back to these like star things, and we are like, okay, are we doing enough? Can we go ahead and add a kind of post-purchase agreement plan to an ad? Or can we add a little tiny bit of like adding salt? Can we add a fear appeal to the ad? Fear appeal does not necessarily, like, I guess the essence of fear appeal is like letting the customer know that what you are missing out. And genuinely, when the solution is great, and when you know that your client is offering something amazing and it is solving a problem, you should actually speak about it from the rooftop, honestly. So I think just, we definitely can apply a few things which can be applied immediately. I don't know what you guys think about this, but like that chapter where he mentioned what should be covered in marketing emails, that was also gold for me. Like I really loved it.
I love that too. No, I agree. I think that's actually a big opportunity as a company that we have to really play a huge role in email marketing, right? I think in some of the book reports, some of you mentioned, that we're either not doing as much email marketing, or that we should be taking it more seriously or doing it more. And I would agree with that, because we spend so much time filling the funnel, but we know that a lot of that action happens after the funnel, after the lead form fill or the lead magnet form fill, right? So that's another area of opportunity for us. So it's good.
Yeah.
Other things that we're going to apply.
So one of the
Transitional.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry, Paul.
Go ahead, Paul.
Right. So, back to my perspective that, I generally take the sales approach out of these books. One of the big things in it, I'm going to read it right from the book, is that it's the 3 crucial questions. And I'm going to carry this forward in all my conversations. In fact, I'm probably using it in some way, but the way he states it is really, really clear. And it's, what does the hero want? Right. So every time I have a discovery call with a prospect, it's always about, well, what's your business? What do you do? Who are you trying to reach? That kind of stuff. So it's what they want. Right. And then the next one is, who or what is opposing the hero from getting what they want? So that's where, when we do our needs assessment, it really comes down to, thank you. It really comes down to what's blocking them, what's getting in the way of them driving leads or doing, social media marketing, or whatever it is that's stopping them, or what are their competitors? What are the external factors or internal factors that are stopping them from achieving what they're trying to achieve? And then finally, it's, what will the hero's life look like if she does or does not get what she wants? And back to spin selling, it's that, what's your life going to look like? Or paint that picture of what the perfect life is going to look like if we help you overcome those obstacles. So those 3 points work in tandem with spin selling, because really we're here to solve a problem, and we're here to help the hero overcome the obstacles that they need to overcome to, make the life that they want. So it's about simplifying and going back to, putting the customer first. and how we're going to help them achieve what they want to achieve.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And I like that you tied in kind of all of them together, because you're right. They're like they're disparate ideas, but they all kind of follow a similar philosophy. But where there's gaps in one, kind of this helps to bridge the other,
For sure.
helps to bridge those gaps.
Yeah. And this book helps really simplify that by putting it in the story or the movie kind of framework. It really helps, it helps you wrap your head around how the whole journey works for a customer.
Absolutely. Roy, and then Jackie.
Yeah, so similar to Paul, he saw the book in a sales framework. I saw it in a user experience framework. So, and even there was a whole chapter on like how to make a better website. So that was pretty cool. So the big thing is when, like, if I build a website, I want to make sure that a visitor who arrives on the site can immediately answer 3 questions upon like seeing it for like only a few seconds. So the first one is, what do you offer? Second is, how will it make my life better? And then what do I need to do to buy it? And all of these things need to be above the fold. And yeah, so that's pretty critical. And I think, and just after reading this and like just visiting other sites, there's this, it's surprisingly how many sites that like actually don't do this, and like how long it actually takes to even figure out, well, what did these actually, what did they do? So, and then, but obviously there's plenty of good examples of sites that are doing this, like especially like high performing, big websites that illustrate this like perfectly. 2 types of CTAs. So the first one is a direct, which calls the customer to place an order, because you have to, customers are need to be told to take action. They don't necessarily take action on their own.
Right.
And then the second one is a transition. So the on-ramp to drive the customer into an eventual purchase. So that's sort of like that whole first date versus like a proposal idea.
Yeah.
So fewer words on the page because people scan, they don't read. And that's similar to our previous book about on writing well. And then images of success, showing happy customers enjoying the product.
Yes.
And I think that's key as well.
Yeah, that's a huge one that definitely stood out. It said, actually, instead of using stock images, right? It said like use real pictures and stuff like that. Jackie?
I think Roy and I have spent some time together, because I actually listed the same things in the same order. And I do think maybe we have this big projects in mind where it's very important to be very clear about this, answering the main questions as soon as possible. I'm obsessed with the transitional call to actions now. I can see them everywhere and how they can be improved or improve the UX for the websites that are in process. And I think, and also making sure that our lead magnets is not just a way to bring people to the funnel, but making sure really that we are explaining how we bring value with our product or service. I sometimes struggle with that. And I know we do have like people in our team that are very oriented to that. So that's something I really want to work on, make sure that it's something valuable that we can bring to the potential lead.
Yeah, and I think a big mistake that happens with lead magnets is, again, not positioning the customer as a hero, positioning the business as a hero. So, for example, a lead magnet that speaks about a problem that the client's facing is going to do a lot better than a case study about us, right? Or something about us, right? A webinar that's going to help the customer to help them in their transformation is going to help more than kind of us talking about ourselves. So that's usually a big mistake that we see in that top of the funnel lead magnet phase. But I think to your point, we have an opportunity as a group to get aligned in terms of, what are good transformational lead magnets that are going to position the client as the hero and take that from the before to after state And yeah, it might have our client's logo there or our logo on there somewhere, but that's the secondary aspect of it. Good. Other ways that we can apply what we've learned. Khalil, Erica.
Hey. Okay, so to just kind of like touch upon like what everyone else has said is like one thing that like in my perspective is like putting yourself in your clients' shoes and like figuring out what is beneficial to them, because like you can have a whole list of things that are great about your product or service, but it has to be like important to them. So you have to really like understand like your client and what it is that they need and like what their wants and what their needs are. So I think that was like the main takeaway. And then for me, like to add on to that is that like our clients' job is to like be the hero for their clients, like the ultimate end user or like the consumer. And then for us, our internal team is the hero for those clients, like our clients is.
I think you mean the guide. You mean the guide.
Sorry, yeah.
Yeah. So we're the guide
you.
for our clients who are the
Yes.
hero, and they're the guide for their customers who are the hero. Yeah.
Yeah, and like if you keep on like stepping backwards into like the communications path or like the line, there's also like the behind the scenes stuff that works and like we kind of guide to help our internal teams to be the hero for our clients who are then the heroes for their clients. So there's this like,
with our vendors, we're the hero, right? So
yeah. So I thought that was very interesting. Like, and that was like my main takeaway. So like when I and now like doing my job, I like think about like, oh, how am I guiding you guys?
Yeah.
To help you do your job.
So now you know why I act the way I do with our vendors, eh? Because I'm a little bit more funny and harsh with our vendors than with our clients, you know. So there you go. Khalil, do you have any ways to apply what we've learned?
I think it was interesting how he said most people actually don't oversell even if they think they do. So there's some kind of tie-in to spin selling there, right? So we can, I think, be a little bit more intentional or aggressive in the way that we position maybe landing pages or copy. He had mentioned having like a buy now button that's like completely unobstructed and just copy that's a little bit more focused and again, aggressive in a way. I don't know if that's the right word, but he used like assertive. There we go. And so he said like buttons like order now, call today, those kind of call to actions and really like funnel the user into that call to action because they need to be told what to do at the end of the day. Otherwise, they're not going to do it. And
I think, sorry, just on this point, I think the reason that sometimes we or our clients feel like we're being too aggressive or assertive is like, you know, when we're looking at that landing page that we've built, we've looked at it 50 times, and then the clients looked at it 50 times, and then their team has looked at it 50 times, right? Someone who's landing on it is going to look at it for 3 seconds and may never come back ever again, right? Same with email marketing. You know, we think, oh, maybe sending like 10 emails in 2 weeks is too much, right? But realistically, we're all on email lists. How many of them are we actually opening? Maybe one, if it catches our eyes. Like, you know, I think of Digital Marketer, for example, or even Donald Miller. I'm getting hammered and peppered with emails from them twice a day. Do I open them? Sometimes. Maybe it's like Sunday evening and I'll open one of them that catches my eye, right? Do I unsubscribe? No, I don't unsubscribe because I still want to be part of the list. So just because I don't open it doesn't mean I'm not interested in it. It just means that I'm kind of neutral on it, to be honest. And the hero, me being the hero of and the recipient of that email, I'm not ready for transformation. Maybe what they're talking about in that email is not speaking to me because I don't want that type of transformation. But if, you know, a company emails me and says, oh, like, you know, take your ordering and proofing workflow to the next level, or I don't know, whatever it is, or whatever the topic is nowadays in our company, right? I'm probably going to open it and I'm probably going to take action on it. I'm going to go to the demo. I'm going to download the lead magnet. So everyone's on their own journey. And And I think it's important for us to remember that, because just because they're on the email list and not opening the emails, it doesn't mean that they're not ready. It doesn't mean that they don't want to engage with us. It just means that they're not ready for transformation yet. And once they start opening and clicking on links, they're going to be ready for transformation. So I think the point I'm trying to make is that we're not being as aggressive or as assertive as sometimes we think we are being by sending out 1 email a day or 2 emails a day, right? Like,
Yeah,
they're not being opened really all the time. So,
and he was like practicing what he was preaching, because even in the book there was a lot of call to actions to go to the website. It was like I'd never seen or read a book that had that many call to actions. Usually it's just one at the end of the chapter, or like one at the end of the book entirely. I felt like I was being a little bit bombarded by the go to the SMB7 framework.
I think more
page.
than half of the team mentioned that as like a dislike of the book. But hey, then there was like, I don't really like the fact that he was like really pushing his stuff in the book, but I guess, he preaches what he does.
I mean, it worked. It
Yeah,
made
it
me more
worked.
inclined to actually go to the website at the end of the day, which I
know
didn't.
I saw a couple of you had downloaded the framework. So
yeah, I get like 4 emails a day from him now.
Yeah, right. And because you're like in the thick of it right now, you might open 3 of them, right? But like maybe 2 months from now, you might not open any. And then in 2 years from now, you're like, oh yeah, Riaz was talking about this thing. Yeah, let's open it, right? So I think there's a healthy balance that most of our clients and us aren't even close to, really, in terms of how assertive we could be. Good points. Other things that we're going to apply? Ileana, Sonali? Michael, yeah.
I was thinking about this framework and how it's really kind of focused on winning trust as well, right? It's kind of focused on winning the trust of the end user by becoming that guide, by providing the plan, by, obviously in order for someone to allow us to be the guide, they have to at first trust us, right? So, and it just got me thinking about HubSpot, actually, oddly enough, and how they have done a really good job at building their brand, or the amount of trust that people have in them now from a marketing perspective, through being there for organic searches when someone has a question about marketing and that kind of thing. And I was just thinking about my own experience with HubSpot over the past few years, and how people tend to talk about HubSpot quite a lot now. Like we might be talking about something and it's like, well, HubSpot referred to this, right? It does happen quite a bit. And I think that they've quietly kind of chipped away at this space and have really kind of become a thought leader in the marketing world. But I was thinking about how much paid advertising I've actually seen from HubSpot, and I haven't actually seen that much.
I think it's mostly retargeting type stuff.
No, it's just whenever I've kind of searched for something, HubSpot is usually providing the answer.
Yeah,
and I think that they've built, exactly. They've got a huge amount of content, and I just think that they've built that trust, and they've built that brand with a sort of an SEO first focus, where they've obviously researched the kinds of things that people are searching for online, the problems that they're coming up against, right? And then they're offering their services as a guide to get them from point A to point B. You do that enough times over the course of a couple of years, it's a long game, but that is really impactful, to the point where now I trust pretty much everything that HubSpot tells me. I'm not exactly going to necessarily carry everything out, but if it comes from HubSpot, there's a certain amount of weight to that. And I think it's quite interesting, actually, that it could be that, it's interesting what you're saying, Riaz. It's like, you may not have this problem right now, but later on when you do, we're here for you, right? So you've got to have those touch points in place through paid search. You've got to have those touch points in place through paid advertising on Facebook, on the Google Display Network or whatever, just to keep that seat warm.
Yeah.
But I think that really people like to choose who their guide is.
Yeah.
They see themselves as the hero. They choose the guide, I think, in a lot of cases. So I just thought it was interesting how HubSpot, I think, have recognized this. I think they work along those lines, but their strategy, it's taken them a lot of time to build that reputation. But I think they're a really good example of a guide.
I agree. No, lots of good points that you've made there. I think HubSpot is a great example in terms of the type of content they put out. There is really the long game there as well, right? So there's definitely an opportunity there for us as well. Good. Other thoughts? Other things that we can apply going forward? I think we've exhausted most of the points. So I think just to wrap up there, I will do another share of the screen here so we can have a quick look there, right? So a character has a problem and meets a guide who gives them a plan and calls them to action that ends in success that helps them avoid failure. So going forward, I think we've identified most of the takeaways and what we're going to do going forward and implement into our business and for our clients as well. So did everyone like this book? I think mostly everyone enjoyed this book. So we'll keep selecting books of this nature. I like the fact that it was easy to understand, simple and clear. So if you've been following along and you want to keep reading with us, our next book is How to Win Friends and Influence People, timeless classic from the 1930s. I'm not sure how clear or how much clarity will be in that book, but we will discuss that next month. And then we are reading The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle and the 22 Immutable Laws of Marketing in February. So those are our next 3 books. Thank you so much for watching today. And very excited for the holidays. So have a happy holidays and happy new year, and we'll see you in the new year. Erica?